Good Wednesday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Wednesday. I am your meteorologist, Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Wednesday evening going into your future. But first, before we do any of that, let's go on and do our regular tradition of what we do on Wednesday evenings and Fridays, which we have made it halfway through the week, and we only have Thursday and Friday to go until the weekend. And actually, Friday is technically a part of the weekend as well because it's a holiday. So let's go on and get a round of applause. So only really one more day left to go until we really reach our 3-day weekend. But for some people who may not have the day off on Friday at all, which I doubt is not many people, but I know, some things obviously can happen. You are halfway done with your week. And so, with that out of the way, let's go on and talk about the weather for tonight. Make sure you go hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Make sure that you go on and do all of that amazing stuff. Also, top fans will be talking about that. If we talked about that yesterday evening, and we still, for right now, we have a tie for first place right now between Mr. Chris and Trail right now. So, we'll talk more about that at the end, though. But again, that's something that YouTube added. Good Wednesday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Wednesday. I am your meteorologist, Peterson. Let's go and talk about the weather for your Wednesday evening going into the future. Now, looking at the radar right now, there is right now a lot of rainfall activity going on. From Lancaster going through Jefferson, Bennettsville going into Marion, Florence, as well as Sumter. We also do have some rainfall activity going on in Russellville, as well as Georgetown, Garden City going to Carolina Forest, Myrtle Beach, and North Myrtle Beach. All of these regions receiving showers and downpours right now. Also going over here towards Bamberg, just to the east and the south of Orangeburg, Allendale receiving some rainfall activity. And then also over here near Ridge Spring, South Carolina, going near Perry, South Carolina, and just to the east of Columbia. Just a lot of just widespread shower and downpour activity going on from the Midlands into the PD and Grand Strand Low Country, kind of in a little bit of a break. This is the outline of it right here, and you can see that overall most of that shower activity is going on around it, and not really in it as much. The upstate does not really have a lot going on up here. I mean, we have some shower and downpour activity near Central and Norris, and 6 miles going near Salem as well. Also over here near Woodruff, South Carolina, we do have some rainfall going on over there. Now, in terms of thunderstorms, if any of these are producing thunder at all, definitely like down here in Barnwell for sure. There's definitely going to be some thunderstorms going on over there near Barnwell and Allendale right now as we speak. Also over here near Sumter and Maysville, Jefferson, South Carolina for sure. Over here near Ainer, South Carolina for sure. North Myrtle Beach, only a 6%, but over here like near Myrtle Beach and Garden City Beach and Litchfield Beach, that's a 23% chance of a thunderstorm right there. And so there are thunderstorms for sure going on throughout the state. Now, what's going on throughout the entire U.S.? You may ask, like North Carolina getting some rainfall, Florida and Georgia receiving some rainfall as well. Texas going all the way into like the Four Corners region, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, California, all receiving some rainfall activities right now. Wisconsin and Michigan also has some rainfall activities as we speak. As we go on towards our cloud cover, we do have some cloud cover on the eastern side of South Carolina, that being like Florence, Myrtle Beach, Conway, Loris, going also near like Allendale, going near Orangeburg, as well as included in there, going to like Ridgeville, South Carolina, and even up there where those showers are up there in the upstate. Cloud cover is going on in those regions. Other than that, though, that's pretty much it. If you go into your cloud cover for the future, you can also see here that we do have some cloud cover that will kind of make its way east, and we'll actually start the day off tomorrow possibly mostly clear. Yes, there will be some cloud cover here and there, but it's really going to be mostly clear. And if we go forward even more further into the day tomorrow, that cloud cover will really start to kind of get a lot more widespread throughout the state. Again, probably just mostly cloudy, definitely not clear. Definitely not, completely cloudy, just like all over the board, but mostly cloudy for sure. Current temperatures right now, 78 in Columbia as well as 78 in Orangeburg, 78 in Sumter as well as 79 in Somerville, 80 inside of Myrtle Beach and Murrells Inlet and Georgetown, 78 in Conway as well. We also have 81 in Charleston, 78 also up there inside of Columbia, 79 in Newberry as well. Also up here in the upstate around 79 in Greenville, 79 also in Greenwood, 78 in York, Rock Hill, and 80 inside of Spartanburg and Gaffney, as well as 83 in Clemson. Low temperatures for tonight, 70 in Greenville, as well as 69 in Spartanburg, 70 in Lawrence, and 70 in Greenwood. Newberry, also 72 in Columbia, 72 in Orangeburg, and 71 in Walterboro, 75 in Charleston, 72 in Moncks Corner, as well as 73 in Georgetown, 74 in Myrtle Beach, 71 in Dillon and Florence as well. And so we're already almost at those low temperatures already. You can see from the temperatures right now, like for example, 78 in Columbia, 72. So only around 6 degrees off there. Like in Spartanburg, 80, 69. That was a bit more on the farther side. I think the more towards the upstate you go. But like the more towards the coast, for example, I'm pretty sure it was 80 at Charleston. The low temperature for Charleston tonight only going to be around 75. So that's only around a 5-degree difference. The more closer you get to the coast, the more of a difference. And that kind of makes sense due to how temperatures are more stabilized near the coastal regions than they are inland, like how it's cooler, or I should honestly say more cold during the winter times in the inland region. That's why it's so much more hot in the inland regions during the summer. Going into the rainfall rates or the forecasted precipitation as we move through 8 p.m. tonight, going into 8 p.m. tomorrow night, overall it's just a lot. From 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch, all the way up to maybe even an inch to maybe even an inch and a half. Like, for example, Myrtle Beach, 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch. Same thing for Sumter, as well as Kingstree and Lawrence. Anderson's included in there, and maybe even Greenville as well. 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch for places like Columbia. Aiken going into Orangeburg. Also places like Georgetown. Charleston's included in there as well. Then maybe even a quarter of an inch to a half an inch for places like Dillon and Barnwell, which is also included in, some of the other places outside of just those two areas. Half an inch to an inch definitely is also possible as we go through some of these regions. And then maybe even an inch to an inch and a half. That's like more on the isolated scale though, if anything, as that's going to be like in an isolated region. In terms of severe weather, we do not have any severe weather that is expected for tonight, though the thunderstorm risk has shrunken a little bit since it has last been updated. For example, here's the new one. Kind of just cuts off most of the upstate and the northern Midlands as well. Kind of just starts from Aiken and going all the way over to Columbia as well. If you go into tomorrow, we also do have another thunderstorm risk that, again, does not include the main parts of the upstate like Greenville, Spartanburg, and Rock Hill. But the southern parts for sure are definitely included in there. Everyone else, again, except for those regions up there, like in the upper upstate, do have a chance for a thunderstorm tomorrow. And the same thing for Friday, July the 4th. Everyone will have a threat for a thunderstorm on Friday. Let's go on and look at our excessive rainfall. Starting off here, you can see tonight, there still is a minor risk of flooding with any sort of rainfall that's going on tonight. Obviously, as we still have thunderstorms going on throughout the state now as we speak. They could still definitely cause some minor flooding. I know we did have a couple of storms with gusts from 40 to 50 miles per hour. I know moving through over here in like the eastern side of South Carolina, also over here near Columbia as well. We had some storms going on as well. So that's why I'm saying even with these TSTMs that we are getting to where there is no severe weather, you still have to watch out for gusty winds because they will most likely could and still occur just because the environment's already primed. It's summertime. The environment's always going to be, when it's the daytime at least, the environment's always going to be jam-packed with fuel for a thunderstorm. So that's why you just have to watch for that. But that's really it for tonight. If you go into tomorrow, really just confirmed or confined to the low country of South Carolina from Georgetown to Moncks Corner to Summerville to Hanahan, North Charleston, James Island, Folly Beach, Beaufort, Ridgeland, Hilton Head Island, Walterboro, all these places, minor risk of flooding for tomorrow. As you go into day 3, we take a little break for day 3, but day 4 comes in, and pretty much the entire coastal region from Conway to Myrtle Beach to North Myrtle Beach again, the entire low country of South Carolina, most likely, Andrews, Georgetown, again, pretty much just almost everybody except for, maybe some places like Walterboro, St. George, Allendale. But again, this is 4 days out, so this might change. But minor flooding is possible here on Saturday. So that's it in terms of excessive rainfall. Let's go in and look at the models now. So first off, we're going to start off with the one, obviously, for tonight. You can see starting off 9 p.m. This is pretty much what's going on right now throughout the entire state. That will continue, and by the time we get to around 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning, a lot of it will break down, and it will start to get really dry, even by the time you get to around 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, when I start, obviously, my morning forecast update at 7 a.m. It's most likely going to be dry through there, but as you get to around noon to around 1 p.m., that's when you can start to see some more shower activity start to pop up through the state tomorrow. Then once you get even further past that, which let me get on over here real quick. Once you get further past that, by the time it gets to around 2, 3 o'clock, storms are starting to pop off like a little bit more, even by the time you get to around 7 to 8, maybe even 9 p.m. as well. And then it will pretty much start to get more into of a shower type base as you go all the way into like after midnight, because obviously once you lose that daytime heating, storms will start to de-intensify. Once you get further into, this is July the 4th now, going into around 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 to 10 a.m. as well, you can start to see that low pressure. Again, this is the low pressure that we're looking at in the tropics outlook, which we're going to talk about the tropics in just a second. But that's the low pressure that they're talking about, and even the short-term models are starting to get onto it, saying that yes, this will happen. A low pressure is pretty much expected to form as we go through like the next 48 hours or so. So this is around, again, 9 a.m. here. Nothing going on for South Carolina. Actually, it's staying relatively dry as we get all the way through around 2 p.m. on July the 4th for now. Again, we'll talk more about that tomorrow night, most likely. But for the first half of July the 4th, doesn't look half bad. So, from the early morning hours on July the 4th to 2 p.m. is what I mean by the first half. Now, again, we'll talk about the last half tomorrow night and really go into depth of what it could potentially be. And then, obviously, July the 4th during the morning, we'll have our full forecast out. So let's go on and talk about our long-term future. So, like, even further into the future, this is around 8 p.m. right here on July the 4th. You can see that rainfall activity starts to go on. But, again, it's very isolated, not really too widespread at all. There goes the low pressure right there, bringing us some rainfall, and that's what's going to bring us our minor flooding threat along that coastal region as that low pressure just lingers, and it's going to bring some more rainfall, and it's going to pretty much kind of just diminish and just kind of just combine with another low pressure that's right now just, or in the future, going to kind of just take place over there near, honestly, I should say, like Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, or it might just maneuver its way over there and kind of just hang around and then start moving east. And then even as we get to around July the 14th, and then July the 15th, that's really where we're going to have to say, this is way too far out, but it shows, again, still active period going on. So we still have a lot more of an active period left to go, but we are seeing some signs still of some tropical moisture still as we go through the next couple of days. But speaking of the tropics, though, here is the new tropical weather outlook they have here. It says, an area of low pressure could develop along a weakening frontal boundary near Florida or the Atlantic coast of the southeastern United States by this weekend. Environmental conditions appear only marginally conducive for some slow development, but a tropical or subtropical depression could form in this region over the weekend or early next week, while the system drifts north or northeast. Regardless of development, heavy rainfall is possible across portions of the southeastern U.S., particularly across the west central Florida coast, which obviously we talked about the west central Florida coast last night, where we said they could potentially get, a lot of inches of rainfall from 6 to 7, maybe even 8 inches of rainfall, was what we were talking about. So that's it in terms of the tropics. Again, just something that we're watching for here, as as it says, pretty much a low pressure is pretty much expected, even though they said could develop. But honestly, I think that is most likely will form, and then it's going to kind of just linger in that area. And then by that time, it might move inland to South Carolina and probably cause us some rainfall, but we'll see how strong technically it gets until we get there, though. So that's it in terms of the tropics. Let's go on and look at the crazy score. We're at a 53. We are at a 53 for tonight inside the strong category still strong storms or heavy rain or wind. And the reason why I put us inside of there, obviously, scattered showers and storms will linger, obviously, and it's still going on. Patchy inland fog, likely as we continue overnight, where rain has already occurred, with some areas possibly even seeing some dense fog as well. So dense fog, obviously, a lot more of an issue than just patchy fog, just in general, because it is a lot harder to see. Most storms will fade by midnight, and pretty much that is all that that it pretty much has for us for tonight. And that's just a normal South Carolina night, except for just storms going on and then fog, but everything else is pretty normal. So let's go on and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off first with Mr. Gracie, says, good evening, everyone from Monk's Corner. How was your day? My day was fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. Good evening to you. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Thad says, good evening. Joseph, how was your day? It was nice and rainy here. Loving it. The grass and plants need it. I know you guys are still inside of that D3 drought. Not the worst of the worst, but you definitely do need the rain a lot more than South Carolina does. That's, I know for sure. Churro says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you as well. Sounds like a storm is brewing. Mr. Chris also says nothing but noise. No rain yet. So, yeah, like I said earlier, kind of like at the beginning, there was storms going around. Obviously, some places aren't receiving rain, but with, thunderstorms come thunder, and that's most likely, it might not even impact your region. It might just be, for example, like over here, like in the northern Berkeley County, there's probably some thunder going on at that storm, and down here in Monk's Corner, you're not going to receive any rain from it, but you're definitely going to hear it. And up here, like over here near like Aner is where they have thunder right now, but is it going to hit Conway? It's kind of going in that southeastern trajectory, so maybe, but some rainfall definitely is possible. But for right now, the main part is just to your north. Let's see, rain off and on here today. Thanks for that report. Drill says, Joseph, are you cooking on the grill for the 4th? Absolutely not. I don't want the house or anything to go down or anything like that, so I'm gonna stay away from that. And obviously I don't want to burn anybody else's food, so I'm going to stay away from that for this 4th. My cousin Cheryl says, good evening, weatherman. I'm listening. I'm at work. I hope all is well over there. Love you all. Be blessed on purpose. Cheryl, thank you so much for that message. And I'm glad that you are listening to us tonight while you're at work. And then Tish says, hey, just hello to you. And that's it for the comments for this evening's forecast update. Again, you can still leave some. It's not... it doesn't close or anything like that. It's always open until I end the stream, which will be at around just after 10 o'clock, which for some people who don't stay for that long, the stream does end at around 10 p.m. and then obviously it starts again tomorrow night. But let's go on and talk about the 3 areas outside of South Carolina, that being San Antonio, Raleigh, and Philadelphia. So starting off with San Antonio first, low temperatures tonight 77, high temperatures tomorrow at 88. And low temperatures tomorrow night at 76. There is a chance of thunderstorms tonight and tomorrow, and even tomorrow night as well. So definitely watch for that, as I've already heard that you said that it was a nice and rainy day there. So, obviously great thing to hear, and hopefully that rainy conditions can continue. Obviously, nothing in terms of flash flooding, but just some good rainfall. In terms of severe weather, or actually let's do excessive rainfall first. You do have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for tomorrow, so that's scattered flash flooding that's potentially possible tomorrow. So watch for that. And then again, that will help the plants, but obviously flash flooding can also cause some other problems as well. No severe weather is expected for you though. Going into Raleigh next, being the next location, low temperatures tonight 71, high temperatures tomorrow at 91, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 71. Chance of thunderstorms tonight, and tomorrow there is no precipitation expected at all. Tomorrow, no severe weather is expected either. And then if you move on all the way up here for excessive rainfall, there is indeed no threat for excessive rainfall as you move through the next 7 days. And then Philadelphia being the last one, low temperatures tonight 70, high temperatures tomorrow at 89, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 67. As there is showers are expected tonight. There is no precipitation that is expected for tomorrow though, and there is a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night as well. For severe weather, there is a chance for severe weather tomorrow. That is a slight risk. Again, that is a slight risk. So scattered damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. Is expected as you go through tomorrow. And there also is a hail threat, so some isolated hailstones of up to an inch is potentially possible with some storms tomorrow as well. Excessive rainfall though, there is nothing in terms of excessive rainfall. So what's going on throughout the entire U.S.? It says heavy to excessive rainfall may bring flooding to parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia. Today, recently burned areas will be particularly vulnerable to flash flooding. Gusty winds and low humidity will bring elevated to critical fire weather conditions to parts of the northwest U.S. and central Alaska as well. Central Alaska potentially having some fire conditions in Alaska, which is interesting to say. But heat goes on, obviously, like we talked about up there, inside of Montana, as well as maybe some in the west as well, like other places like Washington, Oregon, California, and Nevada. But that's it in terms of what's going on throughout the entire U.S. I do want to say one thing real quick before we get out of here. First off, Mr. Chris says, I've been hearing a lot of weathermen talk about CAPE. Can you explain what that means? CAPE is convective available potential energy. Pretty much that is how much fuel storms can get. For example, if you have a storm that is going on near Florence, for example, and let's say there was 0 CAPE over here inside of Florence, and it moves its way down towards Loris. Let's say Loris has around 800, right? Let's say they have 800. It's going to move its way through, and the storm's going to eat up all that CAPE pretty much, and it's going to start intensifying more and more. So again, it's pretty much just energy from storms with this, not so great graphic that I have here. But the more CAPE that there is, the more stronger the storm is going to get. And, with, being summertime, we have a lot of CAPE in the atmosphere like that. One day we had that severe weather. We had a bunch, just a bunch of CAPE was in place that got those downbursts that one day. I believe I went live for about 5 hours, pretty much 4 or 5 hours. But that's pretty much what CAPE is. It's pretty much just energy for storms in the short term. If you want me to go more in depth with that, you can ask me. But one more thing before we go on and get out of here for the night, I do want to go on and just talk about the morning videos, by the way, because they have not been getting as much love as the obviously as the live streams at night. For example, the video this morning, it had around 13 views on it, but it only has 3 likes. For example, the other one, I believe this was yesterday morning's video, had 28 people watch it, only 4 likes. The morning of Monday, this is Monday morning, we had 35 people watch that video, yet we only had 3 likes. And we can go, pretty much that continues all the way through. This was on the day where I was talking about the severe weather, on June the 25th, where I went live. 35 people watched that video, but we only have 5 likes to that video. So pretty much all I'm trying to say is that if you do watch the morning forecast update, make sure that you do the exact same thing and hit the like button and hit the share button with those as well, not just the evening videos, because those are also just as important as the evening videos are, or evening live streams are. So make sure that you want to do so. And I know that not everybody watches the morning forecast update. I know some people who have told me that they don't watch the morning ones, they only listen to the evening ones, and that's it. And that's completely fine. That's not an issue at all. It's just if you watch it and you don't hit the like button or the share button. So make sure you go in and do so. And I will be back, though, if we have nothing else inside of... let me go and check that. So I just shared the link. Hopefully we can get some more subscribers. Thank you so much for doing that as well. I do appreciate that. We're at, I believe, we're at 519 right now. Again, if you hit the subscribe button once, you don't have to click it again. That's just, like a one-time thing. But also the top fans for tonight, I did forget to say something about that. Mr. Chris and Treo tied for first, and Mr. Anthony was in third as well for tonight, for the top fans for tonight. So that's just what's going on there. But that's it. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Thursday morning forecast update. Again, remember what I said about the morning videos. Don't just watch it. Go on and hit the like button with those ones as well. Again, I will be back tomorrow.